welcome to the latest episode of the Fertilizer Matters podcast. My name is Huijun Yao, editor for Fertilizers in Asia. Today, we're diving into a fertilizer that doesn't always get the spotlight, but has been making some big moves in Asia, ammonium chloride or AC. To talk us through what's happening, I'm joined today by Dinise Chng, our senior reporter for nitrogen and ammonia based in Singapore. Denise has been closely tracking China's ammonium chloride supply and export flows to Southeast Asia. Hi, Denise. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Huijun. Great to be here.
Let's start with the supply side. China is by far the world's largest producer of ammonium chloride, and we have seen a lot of talk about China's ammonium chloride capacity lately. Could you walk us through what's been happening?
Sure, China's ammonium chloride capacity is expanding quite meaningfully. Total standard AC capacity rose to around 21 million tons, with production reaching about 19.5 million tons in 2025. What's important here is that ammonium chloride in China is mainly produced as a byproduct of soda ash production using either the Hao or Solvay process. And since China is already a major soda ash producer, any increase in soda ash capacity usually brings more AC along with it. 1 ton of soda ash production roughly produces around 1 ton of AC as a byproduct.
I see. And there are some notable projects coming up, right?
Yes, one example is Yingcheng Xingdu in Hebei, China, which plans to expand AC production by about 700,000 tons per year. Another interesting development is Hebang Biotechnology Indonesia, which is building a soda ash complex with 600,000 tons per year of ammonium chloride capacity at the Java Integrated Industrial and Port Estate in East Java of Indonesia. Construction at the plant had begun in late 2024, but the startup timing is still unclear. This project is a joint venture between China's Hebang Group and Indonesia's PT AKR Corporindo Tbk, and it's Indonesia's first large-scale integrated soda ash AC complex built by a foreign chemical producer using Hebang's Solvay process know-how.
That's amazing. So Chinese companies are shifting production outside of China to their main demand sources. But where is most of China's ammonium chloride capacity actually located?
It's quite concentrated in the provinces of Hebei, Anhui, Henan, Jiangsu, and Gansu, where the soda ash producers are located. Henan and Jiangsu alone account for roughly 60% of total AC capacity, and when you look at the individual producers, Henan Jingshan, Sichuan Hebang, and Jiangsu Shilian together make up about 45% of China's total ammonium chloride capacity.
I see. So traditionally, Chinese producers sell most of their ammonium chloride domestically. What's changed on the export side?
That's right. Most AC is still used domestically, mainly for NPK fertilizer production. But the expansion in production capacity has led to a surplus of supply in recent years, which pushed exports up sharply. In 2024, China produced just over 19 million tons of AC and exported 1.58 million tons, which was up 63% year on year.
And Southeast Asia has been key to that growth.
Exactly. Malaysia was the largest destination for Chinese AC exports in 2024, taking about 780,000 tons, which was double the previous year. Exports to Vietnam and Indonesia also rose significantly to around 360,000 tons and 219,000 tons respectively. And this trend continued into 2025. China's AC exports reached about 2.31 million tons in 2025, with Malaysia, Vietnam, and Indonesia again topping the list.
Wow, okay. So let's talk demand. Why is Southeast Asia buying so much more ammonium chloride?
Well, it really comes down to affordability. Ammonium chloride is increasingly used as a substitute for ammonium sulphate or AmSul, especially when AmSul prices are quite high. AC has a higher nitrogen content, about 25% compared with 21% for AmSul. However, it also has a high chlorine content, which can damage the soil if used repeatedly. That's why it's usually applied to hardier crops, particularly oil palm, which is very common in Southeast Asia, especially in Indonesia and Malaysia, which are the top global palm oil exporters.
And the price difference between that of ammonium chloride and AmSul has been pretty stark recently.
Very much so. At the end of January this year, standard bulk ammonium chloride was trading in the $80s per ton CFR Southeast Asia. And at the same time, standard AMSO prices were closer to $195 to $205 per ton CFR Southeast Asia. That gap has made AC a much more attractive option for many buyers.
Yes, indeed. Even in the current market, with AC offers rising to the mid-high $90s per ton CFR Southeast Asia, it is still comparatively more affordable than that of caprolactam grade AMSO, which has risen sharply over the last few weeks to breach the $200 CFR Southeast Asia gap. Looking ahead, do you see Chinese ammonium chloride exports continuing to rise?
Yes, the outlook remains supportive. Capacity growth in China and steady demand from Southeast Asia suggests that AC exports will likely continue increasing through 2026. That said, there are some logistical considerations. China currently has a customs inspection approval process, or CIQ, for ammonium chloride exports that can take around 60 days. And this might change depending on supply and demand considerations within the Chinese domestic market. This also means that importers may need to secure cargoes earlier to avoid delivery delays, especially during peak fertilizer application periods.
I see. But overall, ammonium chloride looks set to stay relevant in the regional nitrogen mix.
Definitely. As long as fertilizer affordability remains a concern, ammonium chloride will continue to play an important role, particularly for cost-sensitive markets and plantation crops in Southeast Asia.
Great insights, Denise. Thanks for walking us through the ammonium chloride market. We have recently launched a new ammonium chloride CFR Southeast Asia price assessment on the 26th of February. Could you tell us a bit more on our new launch?
Of course, ammonium chloride has rapidly evolved from a secondary byproduct of soda ash production into a core nitrogen fertilizer for Southeast Asia. Rising Chinese production capacity, strong export growth, and widening price differentials with ammonium sulphate have driven a structural increase in AC trade into the region. As trade volumes continue to grow and market dynamics become more complex, buyers and sellers increasingly require reliable, independent price benchmarks to support procurement, contract negotiations, and risk management. And Argus is the first PRA to assess the ammonium chloride market in Asia, bring transparency to this trade flow between China and Southeast Asia. This assessment will reflect these changes and provides greater transparency in a market that has historically relied on fragmented bilateral pricing.
Amazing. Thanks for all your hard work on covering this market on top of the extremely dynamic and exciting movements in the AMSO and urea markets, Denise. And for our listeners out there, if you are keen to discuss in detail on our new price launch and market coverage, please feel free to reach out to Denise or myself. That's all for this episode of Fertilizer Matters. For more pricing, analysis, and market coverage across nitrogen fertilizers, please visit our website. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.